ministers and assistant ministers, leader of opposition, and members of parliament, members of the public that are joining us in the gallery, and those that are watching through via live stream. Numbulunakwa, and a very good morning to you all. The speakers are raised to support the motion moved by the Honourable Prime Minister to thank His Excellency, the President, for his most gracious address at the opening of the 2026 parliamentary session. His Excellency remarks remind us that unity must be consciously built through fair laws, inclusive policies, respectful leadership, and an unwavering commitment to the common good. This constructive leadership that listens to the people before it legislates for them. His Excellency also reminded us that nation building is also being progress with development. And over the past 152 years since Session, Fiji has achieved a significant growth in essential services and national infrastructure. The core message is that these advancements are the result of collective public effort rather than the work of any single government administrations. Farmers, fishers, teachers, nurses, civil servants, faith leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, and athletes have all played their part. So too for those that have served Fiji beyond our shores. The Speaker said housing is a foundation of dignity, stability, and opportunity for every Fijian family, and is central to inclusive development that His Excellency has called for. In this regard, the Ministry continues to prioritize vulnerable households, low-income families, women, youth, and persons with disabilities, ensuring that no Fijian is left behind as we work to improve living standards and expand access to secure, resilient, and well-planned housing across our country. Housing availability and affordability remain serious national challenges. However, the Ministry of Housing is responding decisively through targeted policy reforms, sustained infrastructure investment, and stronger institutional partnership to increase supply, improve planning, and make home ownership and secure tenure more attainable for Fijian families. Mr. Speaker, sir, this challenge is not isolated. It sits within the broad economic and social realities highlighted by His Excellency, reminding us that hardship persists, particularly in vulnerable rural, maritime, and urban communities, and that policies must therefore be inclusive, well-targeted, and grounded in evidence. Guided by this national direction, the Ministry is strengthening its policy frameworks and operational programs to ensure that sustainable economic growth translates into real improvements in households' well-being, especially for those who need support the most. Mr. Speaker, sir, a key priority for the Ministry is upgrading informal settlements and the provision of secure tenure for families who have lived for decades without certainty of land ownership or access to basic services. For the past 3 years, the Ministry has made significant progress in advancing settlement, upgrading initiatives across central, western, as well as northern divisions. Mr. Speaker, sir, out of the 48 development leases secured by the previous government and the informal settlement upgrading program, only 3 informal settlements, Zovu, Dandusas, and Wainamnamo, have already been completed prior to this coalition government taking office. We have been working to demonstrate our commitment not only to sustain progress, but to accelerating the pace of upgrading, ensuring that more Fijian families transition into tenure and improve living conditions. The Speaker said this coalition government will soon be completing upgrades. The additional 4 informal settlements started 3 years ago from when we assumed office. To sustain this progress, government has consistently increased budget allocations for the informal settlement upgrading program, with 10 million in 2023-2024 financial year, 13.4 million in the 2024-2025 financial year, and 14.6 million in the 2025 and 26 financial year. Altogether, this represents a total of investment of 38 million over the 3 financial years, ensuring the projects such as Sakwatha, Tethirua, Tavela, Field 4, and Torain Lotok advancing steadily and will be complete by this 2025-2026 financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable M. Chan's State Ministry of the coalition government's unconstrained approach towards the formalization of informal settlement is therefore misleading and incorrect. The least honorable member could have done was to appreciate the tremendous effort by this coalition government in completing projects or developments that they were not able to during their 11-year term. Because work also continues in other informal settlements, upgrading schemes. The Valley Wanguya Inba and Vunikin Master projects expected to be completed the next financial year, while Nambare and Delsewa in Lautoka expected to commence later this month, whilst Lobu, Seaside in Lautoka, and Tombatinasino will commence around July this year. These projects are expected to be completed by 2028. The Speaker said 10 projects and planning phase, including Sasuwiran, Nasino, Tobang Vangan Ba, Dr. Lautoka and Delay, Namasmasin Lautoka, Ulisila, Singatoka, Vivo Dev, Nasino, Okanisla, Nasino, Buniba B in Lambasa, Siberia in Lambasa, as well as in Dunuma in Lami. And a further project, 5 projects will advance into planning stage in the 2025 and 2026 financial year, and 20 projects remain at the preliminary phase, ensuring that a strong pipeline of future housing opportunities across Fiji. The Speaker says as these projects progress, the Ministry is also undertaking a review of the development of Informal Settlements Act 2022 to address emerging implementation challenges and strengthen the legal and policy framework guiding settlement upgrading. The Speaker said promotion of home ownership in partnership with Housing Authority and Public Rental Board remains a key policy directive. Expanding the supply of affordable housing continues to be a national priority, particularly to support low and middle-income earners in accessing safe, secure, and sustainable housing. The Speaker said the Public Rental Board has made notable progress in improving housing opportunities for its tenants and supporting pathways towards secure housing. 36 residents from G2 Estate Informal Settlement in Suva who issued offer letters for units at the Langi Public Rental Board flats, enabling them to transition to secure tenancy arrangements and significantly improve their living conditions. The board also plans to construct 157 additional housing units at the Langi Housing Estate, further expanding housing options for its tenants. In late January 2025, 49 families received offer letters from the Public Rental Board for the purchase of their units, marking an important step toward home ownership. Early in 2025, the board also issued offer letters for 11 flats in Colombo and 1 flat in Makoi, providing tenants with the opportunity to purchase the homes they have long occupied. And many of these families have been renting for more than 35 years. And this initiative now offers a pathway to secure home ownership and long-term housing stability. And similar initiatives also be implemented other new as well as existing PRB estates across our country. Speaker, sir, Housing Authority of Fiji is expanding its housing delivery approach by providing serviced residential lots and complete houses for sale. New developments are currently underway in Apani, Dabuli, Tavukum, as well as Nobat in Lombasa. And this year, 2026, the authority will deliver 236 housing units and 404 service lots, totaling 640 housing opportunities. This 2026 outputs from the foundation of a comprehensive housing delivery program aimed at significantly increasing the supply of affordable housing across the country. For the next 5 years, including 2026 delivery, the Housing Authority plans to deliver a total of 1,463 model houses, housing units, and 4,356 serviced lots. This amounts to 5,819 housing opportunities, significantly strengthening the national housing supply and ensuring that the authority's immediate delivery is fully aligned with its long-term expansion strategy. Mr. Speaker, sir, as part of its innovation in housing delivery, Housing Authority has also introduced and constructed model homes using prefabricated and steel construction materials, marking the first time such technology has been adopted in its history. These homes are termite-proof, fire-resistant, and certified to withstand Category 5 cyclones while remaining affordable and accessible to low and middle income households. Earlier this year, 2026, a total of 101 more homes were awarded through a call for expression of interest, ensuring a transparent and inclusive selection process. And the construction of these model homes have been tendered, and thorough process has been undertaken to ensure good governance in awarding these contracts. Mr. Speaker, sir, emphasizing the importance of evidence-based policy making and inclusiveness in planning, the Ministry will undertake a comprehensive socio-economic survey of all informal settlements across Fiji, supported by the New Zealand Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. This survey will strengthen strategic planning, improve coordination of basic services, expand access to affordable and climate-resilient social housing, and ensure that policies reflect the lived realities of Fijian families. This work directly supports its actions call for policies that are well-targeted, inclusive, and grounded in evidence. Strengthening democracy at the grassroots. Mr. Speaker, sir, democracy does not live within these parliamentary walls, but in our town cities, as well as in our settlements. It lives in municipal councils, and the daily interaction between citizens and the local authority when they apply for building permit, pay their rates, or seek improvements to the community infrastructure. That's why the coming local government elections are so significant. These elections are foundational to daily governance, and they determine who manages municipal budgets, who oversees town planning approvals, who ensures public health standards, also who ensures public health standards are maintained in markets and food establishments, who manages waste collection contracts, who decides on how open spaces grow, and who ultimately shapes the environment in which families live and businesses operate. This week, on Friday 13th March 2026, the Fijian Elections Office, collaboration with the Ministry of Local Government, will formally launch voter education for the upcoming local government election, which means that voter registration will follow. This is a historic step toward restoring elected municipal leadership this year, which is after a lapse of 21 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, the journey to this point has not been simple. Since 2023, the Ministry has also undertaken extensively with local requirements, the Local Government Act, examined voter expectations, aligned with legislative provisions, and delivered amendments to the Local Government Act to ensure the elections are held, they are credible, transparent, and administratively sound. Speaker, sir, reforms must be felt in households, not only discussed in policy rooms. Over the past 3 years, our ministry, our government has demonstrated reform must translate into tangible relief for its citizens. We have reduced interest on municipal rates arrears from a compounded 11% to a 5% simple interest rate. And this is also not merely a technical adjustment, it was a deliberate intervention to ease financial pressure on families and businesses struggling to clear the outstanding dues. Also aligned, the retirement age for all our workers, municipal workers, the age of 60, to align with the national retirement age. In town planning, growth backed by data and discipline, Mr. Speaker, sir, town country planning for the past 3 years had approved a total of $2.26 billion. In 2025 alone, with the projects, $840 million worth of projects were approved, the strongest year recorded. The Speaker said that is investor confidence and economic momentum. They demonstrate the planning systems, while disciplines are not obstructive, they are enabling structured growth. Digital transformation and ease of doing business. The Speaker, sir, despite strong performance at the town country planning department, also acknowledged that manual processes can create delays and frustration. This is why this year, the coalition government will roll out the online building permit approval system. This reform will allow digital submission of plans, real-time tracking of applications, improve coordination between agencies, and processing and reduce processing timelines. Also developing internal monitoring system to ensure subdivisions and rezoning applications adhere strictly to processing timelines. And digital transformation is not simply technological change, it is institutional accountability in action. Speaker, sir, in addition, the Ministry of Government is currently working on formulating a unified accounting system to modernize and standardize financial management across all the municipal councils. At present, councils operate using various accounting platforms and manual processes, which limit data consistency and timely reporting. The proposed system will provide an integrated platform covering budgeting, revenue management, expenditure control, asset management, and financial reporting. Following extensive consultations with the municipal councils and technical stakeholders, the detailed scope of work has now been finalized. The document clearly defines the functional, technical, commercial acceptance requirements and is confined and confirmed as procurement ready. And this reform will strengthen transparency, enhance internal controls, which lack in most municipal councils, and improve the accuracy and timeliness of financial reporting across municipalities. Also support better oversight, audit compliance, and informed decision-making at both councils and national levels. On master planning and balanced growth, Mr. Speaker, sir, all development must be guided by a long-term vision. The Aviti Council Master Plan, which has been finalized, will now be supported by a detailed plan. And we are providing a 50-year special strategy that integrates sectoral priorities, infrastructure planning, environmental resilience, and population growth trends. Parallel to this, Mr. Speaker, regional growth centers such as Namboa Location Center have been developed to decentralize economic opportunity. In 2023 and 2025, approximately $5.2 million was invested. Major capital projects include the Namboa Passenger Terminal, which was completed, the KRC New Subdivision, and the Senganga Market and Bus Stand. These projects will stimulate local economies and reduce pressure on larger urban centers. And also, Mr. Speaker, sir, there were some projects that were completed, which is the completion of Govin Park in Ba, as well as completion of market facilities in the Buka Sabsavu, Nakasi, Wuns, and Taketi. And these projects require sustained commitments from planning approvals, procurement processes, funding allocations, contractor management, and oversight through to completion. Mr. Speaker, sir, of course, government also has continued to strengthen national emergency response capacity through targeted capital investments for the National Fire Authority, and the grant sum of $8.5 million has been provided to the authority to support the refurbishment of some of the capital projects that are done by that plan and also marked by authority. That is the new fire station at Nordonian in Singatoka, the construction completion of Nabo's fire station, as well as some fire trucks, three new fire trucks that were handed over for Navua. Mr. Speaker, sir, climate change continues to affect our health, our coastlines, our towns, our economy. Solid waste management, therefore, sits at the center of climate resilience and public health protection. The coalition government has confirmed that Fiji must move beyond fragmented, enforcement-driven approaches toward a nationally coordinated, infrastructure-led, and public-private partnership-enabled waste management system. The way forward is clear. We must implement a sequence and bankable reform pathway anchored in an integrated solid waste management master plan, supported by legislative reforms that introduce waste separation at source and harmonize existing laws and the more coherent implementation framework. And for this year, the ministry will be working on remediation. I'm doing some remediation work. It's a very important, some of the dump sites in Fiji, and we'll be starting off with the remediation work at the Singatoka dump site is a pilot project for the ministry. Because His Excellency, the President, called upon us to think strategically and act decisively. That is precisely what this coalition government is doing, strengthening democracy at the grassroots, modernizing institutions, planning for long-term growth, decentralizing opportunity, and ensuring the development is disciplined, inclusive, and sustainable. Our mission remains clear: to improve the daily lives of ordinary Fijians and to build a resilient, forward-looking nation where opportunity is not limited by geography, status, or circumstance. With unity, discipline, and our unwavering commitment to the common good, we'll continue building a stronger Fiji. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in support of His Excellency's President's gracious speech. Mr. Lalabalavu, and may God bless Fiji.